Tashidelek, everyone, and welcome back to the fourth day of the teaching on the Noble Mahayana Sutra, Rice Seedling Sutra, and in Tibetan it's Salujangbedo, and in Sanskrit it's Śhālistamba Sūtra. And we are at the fifth session today. And those who have missed the earlier sessions, it is available on Kalachakra Center's YouTube. So please free to visit there. Their center name is their YouTube name is Kalachakra Center itself. Thank you. And as I mentioned earlier in the previous session, that those who are a French listener, you can change the interpretation into a French language, and also if you're English listener, you can change the interpretation in English, so that you can also able to hear the questions from the audience as well. Thank you. And now I would like to request Mr. Hansla to kindly lead the prayer recitation. Thank you.
Dagi jinso keeper sunamki. Rola panchi sangye drupa sho. Sangye chodan chokni choknam. Chancho badu dakni kapsuchi. Dagi jinso keeper sunamki. Rola panchi sangye drupa sho. Sangye chodan chokni choknam. Chancho badu dakni kapsuchi. Dagi jinso keeper sunamki. Rola panchi sangye drupa. So I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations of the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations of the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations of practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings.
Deyathāvam gati gati parasam gati bodhisvaha tyatha om gati gati paragati 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 parasam gati bodhisvaha om gati gati paragati parasam gati bodhisvaha tyatha om gati gati paragati parasam gati bodhisvaha
Thank you, Hansla. And thank you, Desmla and Desirabella. Okay, we'll do 5 minutes breathing meditation. For this, as since that I can see that almost all of you, you already know what is the breathing, what is the stability meditation or shamatha meditation. Let's do that for 5 minutes. Ready? And the most important thing is that backbone not upright and eyes not closed. And also that the mind should not fall under the laxity and mental excitement or mental scattering. We should stay away from these two by applying the remedies, introspection and mindfulness. Ready? 5 minutes. Okay, thank you. Screen sharing. Let us continue from where we left in the first session. Please consider. Page 60, 69. Okay, page 69. There's Lorish. Orish, okay, okay. That's Ati, Lure. Let's say. Martin, say Marta. Okay, is there anybody who remembers where we left last time? Anyone?
Geshe,
Yes, please tell me.
Geshe, I
Yes.
think we left after the earth element is not self, or
Okay,
we were starting there. I believe that's where we were.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
Similar Sunday, Mare. Okay, thank you, Manjuriji. Thank you. Okay. The earth element is not a self, not a being, not a life force, not the creature, not a human, not a person, not female, not male, not neuter, not I, not mine, and not anybody else's. So earth element, we are made of the 6 elements, and the earth element, which is the solid part of us, it is not to be identified as a self, not as a being. So here, the descriptions are like the self in the form of I and mine is not the other element, is just inanimate object. Other element per se is not to be identified as a self in the form of I or mine. And being here is the being here refers to what moves from one place to another. So the earth element per se will not move. It is only when driven by the consciousness, your mind, then it moves. Otherwise, the earth element per se doesn't move. It's not a being, and not a life force. A life force meaning that we have we have the life force. We have the life force. We have a life. But the earth element, life is something which, if you live for like 80 years, 90 years, or 100 years, it lasts for like 100 years. Whereas the earth element that we have, say biologically speaking, we see that the earth element, it changes. Even the cells, they die, new cells come within the span of like, some say within the span of 20 years, your whole body changes, except for some some neurons or some cells of the body, which existed since like particularly the neurons. Otherwise, our body is changing, but the life force remains for say however long you live. So life, not a life force, not a creature. So here they say this is better translation would be like not a maker, not like you as a creator not in the sense of the creator God, but in the sense of you maker. You are the maker of your family, you're the maker of this institution, not as a maker. The earth element is not a maker. And not a human is like, not as an agent. Human means that I'm a human, then I decide what are the things to be in my house. So not as an agent. Not a person means that not as so these are actually the commentary by Acharya Kamalashil indicates that these are all more like the synonyms, more like synonyms to refer to the self, which some traditions believe to be as a permanent entity, different from the 6 elements. Not as a person, meaning not as the child born out of the agent, and not as a male, female, not neutral, not I and mine, and not anybody else's, meaning that not as a possession, the element of earth to be the possession of some another agent, creative agent. Similarly, water element, the fire element, the air element, the space element, and the consciousness element are also not a self, not a being, not a life force, not a creature, not a human, not a person, not female, not male, not neutral, not I, not mine, and not anybody else's. Here, what is ignorance? What is ignorance? Now, this is very important for us. What is what is ignorance? That which perceives these same 6 elements to be unitary. Okay. Say that what we have is just okay, by the way, let me ask you one question. That do you agree with me that what we see as a person, yourself, or your parents, your children, your husband, your wife, your friends, who you identify as a person with this particular the appearance, that person is nothing but made of billions of atoms. How many agree with me? Raise hands. Billions of atoms. And the atoms do not really have the appearance of how okay, you think of somebody in your life who is so loving, caring, and concerned about you, your mother, your husband, your wife, your father, your child, whoever. Just think of that person and see that person in the light of billions of atoms. And none of this atom has the appearance. None of these atoms have the appearance of what you identified as this person. But these atoms put together, a very specific appearance comes. Where is this appearance coming from? What you identify as, oh, this person. This person is one, single, unitary. Where is this person coming from? This is my question. Anyone? You think about it. And of course, I will not, we can't have each one of you to give the answer, but you give your own answer and let me know. Anyone? Where is this? How many of you agree with me that none of the atom resembles the person you identify as very loving and caring? Raise hands. Yes, but and on the atomic level, these atoms, but put together, we see something else, not as atom, but something else. Very appealing. Where is that object which appears so appealing? Where does it come from? From where? And within the atoms, you will not find it. Where does it come from? This is my question. Okay, let's think about it very seriously. So the reality is that the composite phenomena, they're made of so many components, but the ignorance, our ignorance, put them together and create one unitary entity. It says here, what is the ignorance? That which perceives same 6 elements to be unitary. Unitary, which means, okay, Dorji, my mom, my dad, you create a sense of one object, unitary object. And then they solidified meaning that it's just the one solid object. There's one entity and then one solid object. As one solid object, this one solid object. But actually, what you see is one solid object is not really there. It's just billions of atoms there. It's amazing. And then, yes, of course, as permanent. We see it as permanent. We see it as constant, meaning something stable. In reality, it is not stable at all. It's made of billions of atoms, and so constantly in flux of change. Constant. And we see them, the ignorance make you see them, see this as eternal. We see this as a pleasurable phenomena. see this as a self, self meaning self with the sense of the solid as the identified that entity, one unitary entity to identify as our mind, and with the sentient, of a sentient being, there's one entity there, a life force, a creature, again a soul, or the separate entity different from the 6 elements, a man, an individual, a human, a person, all are categorized as the separate entity distinct from the 6 elements. I and mind, along with the many other such variations of misperception, is called ignorance. This is amazing. If you seriously think about it, we see the object as that, oh, this person, okay, let's say that say particular the parents, your child is to school and then now looks for a job, seeks a job somewhere else in another country. You're going to be separated. You feel the great feeling of the vacuum, feeling of loss. You miss your child. The child misses you, right? What is that child which makes you to miss? There's one entity there. It's just made of 6 elements. Which element do you miss? On the elementary level, there's nothing really there for you to miss about. But then your mind creates some entity there. So this is what the Buddha taught us. Your ignorance creates this unitary entity. Okay. And the self along with many other such variations of misperceptions is called ignorance. The presence of such ignorance brings, okay, now look, this is so important. So once you, okay, do you agree with me first and then with the text? Let's say that first you create a sense of the person there. Say somebody who you love so much. That person is not, it's just a bunch of atoms. If you see the same person in the form of the bunch of atoms, you will not really feel that affinity, feeling of love. But so on the basis of these bunch of atoms, then you see something there, right? You see something there, which is so attractive, so appealing. So that object, then the mere contact with that object through your eyes, through your ears, hearing the sound of the person, the voice of the person, visually you see, and even the smell of the person, whatever perfume the person uses. And so with this, a very pleasant feelings arise within us. And this pleasant, on the basis of this pleasant feeling, with the pleasant feeling, then the attachment arises, desire arises. When if the winning with other person, the unpleasant feeling arises, then aversion arises towards that person. Then you decide, you allocate that person as the difficult person. So it says that this ignorance, this presence of such ignorance brings desire, aversion, and delusion. Delusion is the perpetuation of the ignorance. Delusion here means ignorance towards the objects. Such desire, aversion, delusion towards the objects are the formation caused by the ignorance. So the ignorance creates, it forms desire, attachment, and the desire, aversion, and ignorance. And these, for example, let's say that if I'm so addicted to Coca-Cola, right? Okay, I'm just giving an example. I have a friend. I was spending about 5 days with his family. And in the morning, we used to have breakfast together. And on the breakfast table, he had a bunch of medicines on one side. Bunch of medicines. Allopathic medicines, Ayurveda medicines, and then the homeopathic medicines. There are so many medicines there. And then on the other side is the Coca-Cola. A glass of Coca-Cola. Then I asked, what is this medicine? He said, this I take every day. What for what? For my sugar problem. And what is this allopathic medicine? What is the other one? Ayurveda. What is the other one? Homeopathy. And then what is this? I pointed to the glass of the Coca-Cola. What is this? I asked, and he said that I like it. So the point is that the same when you like the Coca-Cola so much, then what happens? You see the Coca-Cola there, okay, including wine, including alcohol. We are getting it. So I'm giving a nice example. And including anything else, not only Coca-Cola or wine, these things. Think of anything else which is a problem for us. Say that let's say that I'm so extremely crazy after the Coca-Cola, and then say I have the sugar problem, and then somebody puts a glass of Coca-Cola there, instantly my eyes will go there, right? And then my hand will go there, right? So what is this? Your eyes going there is action, karma. Your hand going there is a karma, action. What makes these? There are so many other glasses there, but of these all the other glasses, like I say the water, or the hot water, or tea, from these, my hand goes to one particular the glass with the Coca-Cola, right? Coca-Cola, which means that what makes my hand to go after this? My desire makes my hand to move towards that. That movement is the karma. That's action. That action is driven by the desire. With aversion, say for example, somebody said, okay, Geshe, no Coca-Cola, you have to take this, this tonic, bitter tonic for your tuberculosis. And then you just, when the person turns away, you push this away. Because you don't like it, you push, your hand pushes that away. So this pushing the glass of the tonic glass away, this is a karma. This karma is determined by your disliking of this object, aversion towards the object. So we see that these karmas are created, formed by these three emotions within us. And these three emotions are there triggered by the ignorance. Okay, so that forms, the complete picture forms the formation, the second link. Okay, that was such desire, aversion, delusion towards objects are the formations caused by ignorance. Next, so the ignorance is explained now. Now, I say that is the formation. Ignorance explained already. The ignorance which makes us to believe things as unitary, solidified, and so forth. Now, the next, this is the first link of the 12 links. And if you're not too aware of the 12 links, don't worry too much. Or instead of the wheel, after the wheel, there's the enumeration, 12 links. Okay, so of the 12 links, first one is ignorance. Ignorance also well explained here. Second one is the formation of the karma, is explained here. Now the third one is the consciousness. Okay, I'll read it. And so it reads, such desire, aversion, delusion towards objects are the formations caused by ignorance. And then that which distinguishes between individual objects is consciousness. That's number 3, link number 3. And those of us who are not aware, who have not studied the 12 links, the wheel of life, well, don't worry. The Tensumla is kindly giving us that enumeration of the 12 links before, after this, after this 12 links enumeration there. Down, still down, still down. Oh, oh, yeah. Okay, so we have the 12 links enumerated here. Good. Oh, that is okay. Good. You were told. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank him. Audition. Okay. Good. Okay, now we're talking about the consciousness. That which distinguishes in the middle. Okay. That which distinguishes, what is consciousness? Number 3, if you look at the chart on the right side, we have the consciousness. Number 3 is the consciousness. And in the wheel of life, it is depicted by the monkey jumping from one tree to the next. So here, what is the meaning of that? Each meanings are so well explained here. That which distinguishes between individual objects is consciousness. Okay, this is the thermos with the glass. This is rosary. So all these distinctions or the differentiation is made by your consciousness. That is the meaning of consciousness or the mind. Then the next, number 4 is name and form. Number 4 is name and form. The 4 aggregates for appropriation that emerge in conjunction with consciousness. Okay, let's say that we are made of 5 aggregates. Okay, first, let's say we are made of body and the mind, name and form. We're made of name and form. And the name is the mind. Within the mind, they can be divided into 4 aggregates. The body is the aggregate of the body or the form, name and form. The form is the aggregate of the body. And then the name, the remaining 4 aggregates, aggregate of feeling, discrimination, composition factors, and consciousness. So all these, they fall under the category, somehow they fall in the category of the consciousness, because that the consciousness of the mind, within the mind, they are the primary mind and the secondary mind. So both fall under the category of the mind. And secondary mind is also referred to as the mental factors. So the feeling and discrimination, they fall under mental factors. And composition factors, the remaining mental factors, they all fall under the composition factor. In other words, out of the 5 aggregates, the first one aggregated form, and the remaining 4 falls under the aggregate of the consciousness. Okay, so it reads the 4 aggregates, except for the aggregate of form, for appropriation meaning that we, okay, I, when I say I, what I have only 5 aggregates, like I have these billions of atoms, I have only 5 aggregates, and then yet I say, oh, this is my body, this is my mind, this is my consciousness, this is my feeling, this is my discrimination, this is my composition factors. So I appropriate, I will possess. Appropriate means possess. The 4 aggregates for appropriation that emerge in conjunction with the consciousness are name and form. Conjunction with consciousness meaning consciousness already taught earlier. Number 3 is consciousness. Now name and form, the consciousness comes again here under the name, along with all the 4 aggregates. 4 aggregates along with which includes the consciousness, aggregate of form, the aggregate of feeling, discrimination, composition factors, and consciousness. These remaining 4 consciousness, they form the consciousness. Then what is created, the body, that becomes the aggregate of name and not the aggregate, the link of the name and form. Okay, the faculties based on name and form are that is number 4. Now number 5. On the basis of that is, last time we did mention this. So the number 4 is still while you are in your mother's womb, where you have the mind from your past life, the name meaning the mind from past life, and the form or the body from your parents. This womb. So now what is in the mother's womb? That is the developing. It develops and then it reaches a point. Initially it's just like a small curd, tiny curd. Then it becomes more mature to this extent that the senses they come out. The eye sense organ, ear sense organ, these senses they come out. Okay, but they are not functioning yet. That is number 5. The text reads the faculties, meaning the senses, based on name and form. So you have the body and mind inside. Now that is the developing, and the faculties or the senses are developed. are the 6 sense sources. 6 sense sources meaning the 5 sense sources, the 5 physical sense sources, and the 1 mental sense source. Total is 6. The conjunction of the 3 factors is contact. So the next is number 6, contact. Number 6. What's the contact? With the senses, particularly the physical senses. The physical sense is 1, and then its object, for example, the visual, the eye sense power, and the visual object, number 2, and then the immediately preceding consciousness, number 3. These 3 come in contact. This is known as the contact. The conjunction of 3 factors. 3 factors meaning the object, the sense power, and then the immediately preceding consciousness. These 3 come in contact. That is when you're still developing in the mother's womb, as it reaches a little more sophisticated level of the contact of the 3 things. Yet, it is like, say, when you sit for long, you feel the numbness of your feet. And with the numb feet, then you step on the ground or the floor. You cannot say that, oh, this is hot, cold, whatever. You can see you can feel something. You could feel the contact, but you don't really feel as pleasant, nice, smooth. You don't feel that. So that is on the level of contact, not on the level of feeling. Then you grow further. You develop further to number 7, which is feeling. So the feeling says the experience of contact is feeling. So with the contact, then you actually experience something. Oh, it's pleasant, it's not pleasant, it's cold, it's hot. That at that point, it becomes the feeling. Okay. Then the next is number 8. Number 8 is attachment, or some people translate it as craving. Number 9 is grasping. And attachment to feeling is craving. When the feeling arises, pleasant feeling arises, say I, attachment arises. So they say the attachment arises on the basis of the feelings. Attachment to feeling is craving. Then the intensified version of the craving is appropriation. That is appropriation or grasping. These are different translations. In the right chart, number 9, it is translated as grasping. In the main text, it is they translate as appropriate. There are 2 translators, different translators. Appropriation here means the grasping, number 9. Next, action that comes from appropriation and causes rebirth is becoming. So number 2 is contaminant karmas or the formation karmas. That karma is in the form of the seed. That seed is germinated by number 8 and number 9. Then that seed becomes number 10, becoming. In the text, it reads, in the text, action that comes, action meaning the karma, which number 2, germinated by number 8 and number 9 becomes number 10. Action that comes from appropriation, that comes from number 9, grasping or appropriation, causes the rebirth. The rebirth is number 11. So before the rebirth, that the karma becomes ripen, ready to give rebirth. That ripened state of the karma is known as becoming, number 10. Becoming. It is represented by a pregnant woman, expectant mother. Then next, number 11. Number 11 is birth. Emergence, the text reads, the emergence of the aggregate from such a cause is birth. So there, the number 10 is the time when you are on the verge to die. Number 10 is the time when you're on the verge to die, to take birth to the next life. So there, the karma will decide the next birth. And this karma was the number 2. That number 2 was germinated by number 8, number 9 to make it very germinated or very like a full-fledged, ready to give birth. That state of the karma on the verge to give birth is known as becoming. And this becoming, the next phase is the birth. Emergence of the aggregates of the next life is the birth. That is number 11. Number 12 is the aging and death. The maturation. So look, this text is so precious. For example, when I study the wheel of life as a part of the Abhisama Alankara, ornament of clear realization, when I was in the monastery in Institute of Buddhist Study Texts, as well as in the Demonosoli Monastery. So we learn all these things. And when I read the sutra, this is amazing. In sutra, it is so clear. The maturation, what is aging and death? Aging and death here in the sutra is split into two. In the wheel of life, these two are combined to club together. The maturation of the aggregates, say the first moment of the conception in the mother's womb, first moment, there's a birth. Then the next moment, there's maturation taking place, disintegration taking place, or change takes place, maturation takes place. So from the next moment is the aging. You already start aging from the second moment. The maturation of the aggregates after birth is aging. Then what is death? Aging and death. The perishing of the decrepit aggregates is death. So, and then finally we have to leave this body. Leaving the body, that is death. So this is the explanation of what the 12 links of dependent origination are. And if you already studied the wheel of life, for NDC4, I think we're yet to study that. It'll come. Oh, we're done. NDC4, wheel of life, done. Okay, NMC, you are expected to have already studied that. Okay, for others, I would say that you can study that. The explanations are given them. You can get the recording if you want to listen to that. You can request to the office of Tibet House. Okay, next. The inner torment and then the further explanation. Inner torment of the deluge, when you see the death of somebody else, like your very near and dear ones, the inner torment of almost all of us, we have that experience. Or what is the meaning of a loss of a near and dear ones? For example, say in my case, I of course naturally feel so close to my mom, and I lost her when I was just 5 years old. And I do remember the last phase when the body of my mom was lying down. I could still remember that. And then then lost my dad. I was so close to him, seeing that he went through all these difficulties for us, the three children. And I feel so close to him. Yes, the loss of him, this is so painful. And you meet with the other people, listen to their stories, to feel the pain, to see the loss of the near and dear ones is so painful to everyone. So the descriptions are here. The inner torment of the deluded, attached, dying person is sorrow. The utterance that comes from sorrow is lamentation. Experience of discomforts associated with the collection of the five consciousness is suffering. Mental suffering due to such reminiscence is despair. Moreover, any other secondary afflictions of this kind are called bewilderment. All these things happen at the loss of the near and dear ones, at the death of the near and dear ones. It's very true. So we need to think of these, and think of this. We said that finally, say we may be, you have some power, and some people, they abuse their power, like politicians or like bureaucrats, or say even the school teachers, school principals, or even say anyone you in your own capacity, like in a family, the father, the mother, whoever is more powerful, abuse the power. And we should think of these realities, and what actually help us in the next lives is not the abuse of the power, it's the proper use of the power to make things happen for others, to make good things happen to others. So this is so precious. Remembering these, that okay, now these things will one day happen to me. We have to remember that. And at that point, what I can carry, say for example, when you leave one home, when you leave one house to move to another house, you will not carry all the garbage. We'll remove the garbage and carry what is valuable. What valuable thing that we can carry to the next life is the virtues. And whereas if non-virtues, yes, we have to carry them. No choice. It's a garbage, but we have to carry them. We have to suffer. So therefore, remembering this should be a lesson for us, that I should not be unkind to anybody else. I should not misuse the power. I should not abuse the power. And I should not make others unnecessarily in problem. So I should not, in other words, I should not engage in accumulating negative karma, referred to as the formations, which will decide my next life, like the potter deciding the shapes, the color, the size of the pot. Likewise, my next life is going to be determined by the formations or the karma, which I am accumulating. So I should not engage in the negative karmas. These are so precious advice for us after learning the Śhālistamba Sūtra, the Rice Sutra. These are the messages that we need to remember and act accordingly and bring about transformation in one's own life. Screen sharing. Okay. They are called ignorance in the sense of obscure. Now, again, beautiful explanations. Again, more additional explanations are there. Again, the 12 links. They are called ignorance. The first link, ignorance in the sense of obscuring. And the ignorance means you don't see, you don't know the reality. You're obscure from having the vision of the reality. Formations or the karma is that in the sense of forming, in the sense of creating, in the sense of creating your next birth, next experiences. Number 3, consciousness is in the sense of causing to know, to distinguish things, to know. That's a consciousness. Number 4, name and form, in the sense of mutual support. Your name and form, your body and mind, they're mutually supporting each other. When your mind feels so low, your body instantly, say, it becomes weak. And likewise, when you become sick, then your mind also cannot think properly. When your body is healed, then your thinking also becomes clearer. And likewise, when you feel happy, your body, the recovery of your body happens so fast. So these two mutually support each other. The name and form in the sense of mutual support. The 6 sense sources in the sense of entry gates. So where entry gates meaning the entrance through which we come in contact with all the other phenomena in the world. So all the visual objects, we come in contact through the entry gate of your eye sense power. Likewise, the sound through your ear sense power. Likewise, the nose sense power, tongue sense power, body sense power, and the mental sense power. For example, the future, the past, and so forth. Emptiness, we cannot see through our sense consciousness. We can understand through our mental consciousness. So these 6 senses, they are the entry gate to get access to all the other phenomena in the world, in the universe. Contact, the next, the contact, number 6, is the sense of mingling, the contact of the 3 things, mingling the 3 things, object, the sense power, and immediate present consciousness. These 3 come together, they mingle together, that's a contact. What is feeling? Feeling in the sense of experiencing pleasant, the pleasure, pain, or happiness, pain, or neutral feeling. Then number 8 is craving. Craving in the sense of thirst for wanting something. Then number 9, appropriation or grasping. Number 9, in the sense of appropriating. Appropriating means that you said that I should not die. That is, this is primarily happening at the closer towards the death. Now I'm dying. I'm being separated from my body. I should not die. You appropriate your body. Becoming, number 10, in the sense of giving birth to repeated becoming, meaning that the becoming is that it is the one responsible for giving the birth, number 11. Giving birth, which is number 11, but number 10 is the causal factor, becoming. Then number 11, birth. Next one, birth, in the sense of the emergence of the aggregates. Birth is what? When you leave the death, when your mind ejects from the body of the previous life and connects to the next in the form of the pardo, or in the next life. So next life you have again the aggregates are there. 5 aggregates are there. In the case where you take take birth in the form, in the desire realm, and in the form realm, the aggregates. So aggregates come into existence of the next birth. Then number 12, the first part of the 12, aging. Aging in the sense of the maturation of the aggregates. Aging means that your aggregates that you obtained in the first conception, the first moment of conception of mother's womb, that then you keep developing. In other words, it is maturing. Maturing, the sense of maturation of the aggregates is the aging. And what is death? In the sense of perishing. And what is a sorrow? Sorrow in the sense of grieving, lamentation in the sense of wailing, suffering in the sense of bodily torment, and despair in the sense of the mental torment, and bewilderment in the sense of secondary afflictions. Okay, secondary afflictions meaning confusion. Say, when you lose your very near and dear ones, and then you're mentally confused, you become disoriented. Furthermore, not knowing reality, again, this is so precious. They're not knowing reality in the sense of not apprehending it and misapprehending it is ignorance. Now, ignorance, the more detailed explanation of what ignorance is. Ignorance, there are various ways of classifying ignorance. One way which we explained earlier is the ignorance in ways of ignorance which misconceives the efficacy of the cause and effect. Second, ignorance which misconceives the ultimate reality. These are the one way of classifying the ignorance. Another way of classifying the ignorance is ignorance which is oblivious to the reality, which is unaware of what is happening around. That is one ignorance. Another one is ignorance which deliberately distorts the reality. For example, let's say that, okay, I come here and then somebody asked me, okay, you attended you had the class, and who are the people that attended? Oh, I'm totally unaware. I was not aware of that, which means that I'm ignorant of the people who attended this class. Unaware, being unaware. That is one kind of ignorance. It blurs you from seeing the reality. And the another one is ignorance which deliberately distorts the reality. For example, say what is this? Let's say, what is this? Okay, let's say you may not be seeing this. Let's say, what is this? And then I say, this is a chocolate, brown chocolate, right? This is not a chocolate, it's a thermos. So I deliberately distort the reality. There's no haziness there. There's no haziness there, but I deliberately distort the reality. So this is another version of ignorance. There are two kinds. We have to know both. We have to know both, and our effort must be to eradicate both. First, the haziness. For example, in the meditation, you do meditation, and the meditation and your mind is very hazy, or you listen to the talk on emptiness, and particularly if the person is speaking very fast and very complicated topics so fast, you get lost, right? And then you cannot catch what is being said. You hear the words, but you cannot catch. This is where ignorance, which is unaware of what's being said. Another one is the person said that emptiness is constant, right? And then you say, oh, emptiness is truly existent. Constant means truly existent, permanent, truly existent, right? Oh, he means emptiness is truly existent. No, I didn't say that. Emptiness is constant in ways that it is not momentarily changing, right? In that sense, but you distort the reality. So our job is to get the proper reality with the clarity. With the clarity, the ignorance, being oblivious to what is around you, will be removed to know the vast reality. Then by knowing the profound reality, you can eradicate the ignorance which distorts the reality. So this is so important. Look at the study of the Buddhist psychology. This is actually happening within our mind. It's happening within the mind of non-Buddhists also. Right? It's not about according to your system. According to Buddhism, this is ignorance, distortion of the reality, and the blurriness of the reality. This is according to you. According to us, no. According to us, this is not our ignorance. No, whether you are Buddhist or not, it doesn't matter. These two ignorances, they are there within us, and which creates all the problem to us. This is reality. Okay, next. Okay. If such ignorance is present, if such an ignorance is present, 3 types of formations develop, 3 types of karma are created. Okay, this is so important. 3 types of karmas are created. With ignorance, in the first place, what marks us as samsaric, what marks us as being in samsara is that where we have the ignorance, we're in samsara. Ignorance related to the ultimate reality. That is samsara. Then samsara means that you take birth in the 3 realms. Take birth in the 3 realms. And to take birth there, you need to have the karmas, to accumulate the karmas. So formations of the karmas. So this ignorance creates the karmas for you to be trapped in the 3 realms within samsara. So what are the kind of karmas that the ignorance makes you to create? It's there 3 kinds. What are they? Those that lead to meritorious states, those that lead to unmeritorious states, those that lead to unwavering states. Okay, first before I explain this further, deeper, let me just remind you of the 2 kinds of ignorance which we classified yesterday. Ignorance which misconceives the law of karma. Ignorance which misconceives the ultimate reality too. Okay, so when we misconceive the law of karma, this ignorance leads us to engage in the negative karmas. Ignorance which makes us to disbelieve in the law of karma, we will not hesitate to engage negative karmas. And negative karmas, or the unmeritorious are the karmas. Unmeritorious karmas or the negative karmas. Yeah, unmeritorious karmas or the non-meritorious karmas or the non-virtuous karmas. They're all synonymous. So with this karma, this karma is because of the misconception of the law of karma. When you don't believe the law of karma, you will not hesitate to engage in the negative karmas. And these negative karmas will take you to the unmeritorious states. What is the unmeritorious states? I'll explain this later. Then okay, first let me put it like this. Now, in samsara, we see that there are 3 realms: desire realm, form realm, and formless realm. And desire realm is further divided into 2 sections. Favorable realms and unfavorable realms. Unfavorable realms 3: hell realm, hungry ghost realm, and animal realm 3. And the favorable realm within the desire realm, there are 3: human realm, god realm, and the asura realm 3. Let me repeat it. Samsara is divided into 3 groups: desire realm, form realm, and formless realm. The first, the desire realm. Desire realm is divided into 2: favorable realms and unfavorable realms. Unfavorable realms, there are 3: hell realm, hungry ghost realm, and animal realm. And favorable realms within desire realm is again 3: human realm, god realm, and the asura realm 3. Okay, and then the form realm, and then next is formless realm. And I don't want to go into detail about the form and formless, more divisions. I don't want to go in there. So from this, we see that within the desire realm, there are 2: the unfavorable realm and the favorable realm 2. And then the third one is a formless. Formless combined together is the number 3. So we can break these 3 realms, desire, form, formless, into another 3 way of dividing them. Another way of dividing them into 3. The first one is unfavorable realm of the desire realm, favorable realm of the desire realm, and the form and formless realm together 3. So now we can accumulate 3 kinds of karma. The first one is karma driven by the ignorance which misconceives the law of karma. Karma which does not believe in the law of karma, or which is ignorant of the law of karma, which is ignorant of the law of cause and effect. So these beings will tend to accumulate non-virtuous karmas, and because of which they will take birth in the unfavorable birth, unfavorable realms within desire realm. Number one, that is known as unmeritorious states or unfavorable states within the desire realm. And so now the second, if you don't have this, if you believe the law of karma, if you believe in the efficacy of the cause and effect, then the ignorance that you are left with will be the ignorance which distorts the ultimate reality, ignorance which misconceives the ultimate reality. If that is the case, if this only ignorance that you have, if you don't have the grosser ignorance, if you have only the subtler ignorance, then you will not engage in negative karmas. You will engage in the positive karmas. Positive karmas, and the positive karmas are the positive karmas driven by the ignorance. Although it's positive, because it is driven by ignorance, ignorance is contaminated. So that karma is known as contaminated virtuous karma. Contaminated virtuous karma. Because it is contaminated, the result will be only experienced in the samsara. Because it's virtuous, the result is going to be favorable. Let me repeat it. Said where somebody out of the two kinds of ignorance, you get into the first ignorance, the gross one, that you believe in the law of karma. So therefore, the ignorance which misbelieves which disbelief in the karma, it is not there. Because of which you will not engage in the negative karmas. So what actions will you, what karmas will you accumulate? You will accumulate positive karmas. But given that these positive karmas, they are given by the ignorance which misconceives the ultimate reality, so it becomes a contaminated. Ignorance is contamination. So this positive karma is contaminated. So this is known as contaminated positive karma. So we see that because it is contaminated, what is contaminated? Because contamination means you will be bound in samsara. So this will only give results in samsara, contamination, contaminated state. And because of the virtuous, it will only give rise to the happy states within samsara. So favorable states. Okay. Now within this karma, there are again two kinds. The karma which is directed towards the sensual objects, and karma which is directed towards your internal meditative experiences. Two. Both are positive. Positive karma directed towards the external sensory objects, and the karma, positive karma, directed towards your internal meditative experiences. Two. The first one is known as meritorious karma. The second one is known as unwavering karma. Okay. Now the meritorious karma will give you the result in the form of favorable states in the desire realm. Let me repeat it. The meritorious karma, so we have divided this the contaminated positive karma into two: meritorious karma and unwavering karma. Meritorious karma, now I already made distinction. Meritorious karma, the result will be experienced in the favorable states in the desire realm. And unwavering karma will experience the results in the form and the formless realm. Okay, now let me explain why these three karmas, they are different, given with the different labels. One is unmeritorious karma, second one is meritorious karma, third one is unwavering karma. Particularly, you may be wondering why that karma to take birth in form and formless, they are known as unwavering karma. You may be wondering you may be waiting to know this. Okay, first let's say that the non-meritorious karma, of course, it will throw you into the unfavorable states, non-meritorious states, in the form of in the hell being, as the hell realm, hungry ghost realm, or the animal realm. And the meritorious karma, positive karma, there are two: meritorious and unwavering. So one is unwavering. What is unwavering karma? Unwavering karma, the karma which will make you experience the results in the form and formless realm. And why these karmas are known as unwavering. And it is, of course, it is meritorious. It's meritorious, but it's particularly known as the unwavering karma, unwavering meritorious karma, unwavering karma. So why is known as unwavering? This question. So unlike what we call as meritorious karma, to make you experience happiness in the favorable births in desire realm, unlike that, so that meritorious karma has one problem, that it can fluctuate, it can waver. How it can waver? Say that if this karma, if you have the karma to take birth in the, say, the God realm, within desire realm, if you accumulated karma, meritorious karma, to take birth in the God realm within the desire realm, somehow, for some reasons, you cannot take birth there. The same karma can give birth, make you take birth in the human realm. It can waver. This karma can waver. Karma of the desire realm can waver. Whereas the karma of the form and formless will never waver. That if you accumulate karma to take birth in the form realm, it will definitely take birth in the form realm, and this will never waver to take birth, to make you take birth in the form, in the desire realm or the formless realm. It will never waver. It's very specific. So therefore, there are three kinds of karmas. That is in relation to the second link of the formation or the link of the karma. Okay. The next is the next paragraph, from formation, so from karma, link number 2, that lead to meritorious states. Okay, now more the explanations coming here. From the formations or the karma that lead to meritorious states comes consciousness. Okay, so from this karma, then the conscious karma is the number 2, the link 2, and number 3 is the consciousness. From formations or the karma that lead to the meritorious states comes the consciousness that leads to meritorious states, meaning that, say, the positive karma or the meritorious karma will leave the imprint in the consciousness, and this consciousness will then, it will make this seed of the meritorious states karma be germinated to ripen in the meritorious realms. Where? In the desire realm, human, God, and asuras. 3. The next, from formations that lead to unmeritorious states, karma, negative karmas or the unmeritorious states, formations that leads to unmeritorious states, that formation, negative karma, that from there comes the consciousness. Then this karma, this imprint in the consciousness, and it will take you to take birth in the unmeritorious states, where? In the 3 lower realms, hell realm, hungry ghost realm, and the animal realm. Then finally, and from the formations or the karma that lead to the unwavering states meaning form and formless states, comes consciousness. This the formation will lead the seed in the consciousness that leads to the immovable or the unwavering. This is just a matter of translation. Unwavering state. What is unwavering state? Form and formless. Why these two are known as the unwavering states is because that any karma that accumulate to take birth in these 2 states, they will never waver, they will never bear fruits in the other states. If that karma, if you accumulate karma to take birth in the first form realm, it'll definitely take birth there, not in the second, third, fourth, or the formless or the desire realm. So this is unwavering in that state. Okay. And from this is what is meant by formations, cause, consciousness. Look, such a detailed explanation is given as to how the second, the link of the formation of the karma gives rise to the third link, consciousness. In other words, the second link, the karma or the formation that is in the active state of the karma, then it leaves the imprints, and imprints will be implanted in the consciousness. That is number 3. Next, the 4 immaterial step. Now look, number 3 will give rise to number 4. And those of us who have already studied the wheel of life, for you this is an incredibly great opportunity to study in more detail. Whereas those who do not study this, you may feel a little lost. Don't worry. When I explain this, try to understand what is being said. Although you cannot connect the dots, don't worry. Try to know these things. Later on, when you study the wheel of life in more detail, you'll be very happy to see that you understand things very clearly. Next, the four immaterial aggregates emerging together with the consciousness. Okay, let's say that what you have is the five aggregates. Aggregate form, feeling, discrimination, composition factors, and consciousness. Five. Of the five, the four are immaterial. The first one is material. First one is element aggregate of form. The remaining four are immaterial aggregates. The four immaterial aggregates emerging together with the consciousness, meaning the consciousness number three. Number three consciousness. And so this consciousness combined together, you have the four aggregates. And then you add the physical aggregate of form. Along with the physical form is what is meant by consciousness causes name and form. So number three consciousness, it will give rise to number four, which is name and form. Name, meaning the four immaterial aggregates, including the consciousness, not number three consciousness, but the resultant state of the number three consciousness. Number three consciousness will give rise to the next moment of consciousness. That comes under in the form of the consciousness together or the inclusive of the consciousness in the four immaterial the aggregates. Along with the physical form is what is meant by consciousness, number three, giving rise to the name and form, number four. Okay, next. Due to the development of now, you are in the name and form is when you're in the mother's womb. Name, your mind, form, your body from your two parents, and the name, your mind from your past life. So these two are in the mother's womb. Now you are still these two things there as your basic components, and now these two are developing. Due to the development of the name and form in the mother's womb, the performance of actions through entryways of the sixth sense source occurs. Okay, so from this, the name and form, it is developing, and then what happens is that your sense organs will come out. Sense organs and sense sources will come out. Sense sources and sense organs, these two are different. These are not the same. What you say is the eyeballs, the ear canal inside, the three bones, they're all the sense organs, they're not sense powers. Sense powers and sense sources, these two are same. Sense power and sense organ, these two are different. Sense organ is what we can see, sense power is what we cannot see. So sense organ is like the container, and sense power is like the content. For example, say some gases, the transparent gases are trapped in the glass container. So glass container you can see, but the gas inside you cannot see. Gas inside, there is a content, and the glass container, there's a container. So the glass container, which can see, this is a metaphor for the sense organ, and the gas trapped inside, which is not visible, that is like this sense power. Sorry. Okay, so the name and form develops, and then it gradually gives rise to the sense power, the six sense powers. Six sense powers, they develop. And six sense powers, what are they for? They're for performance of the action through the entryways. These six sense powers, they'll serve as entryways for you to perform actions. Oh, there's the beautiful flower there. Oh, I'm listening to the Mozart music. And the food, the taste is amazing. The texture is so, what is that? The pashmina, the wool is so smooth. So that we perform the actions on the basis of the objects which we get access to through the entryways of these six senses. This is what is meant by name and form cause the six sense sources. From now, this is number 5, six sense sources. Then number 6 is the contact. From the six sense sources arises 6 collections of the contact. 6 collections of contact, meaning that because there are 6 senses, 6 sense sources, they come in contact with the respective 6 objects. So the contact of the objects with the sense sources and the immediate preceding consciousness, that becomes the contact. This is what is meant by the 6 sense sources cause contact. Then the number 7, contact giving rise to the feelings. Once you come in contact with these 3 things, then the feelings arise. Feelings occur precisely according to the type of the contact. What kind of contact? If you come in contact with undesirable objects, unpleasant feelings arise. If you come in contact with desirable objects, pleasant feelings arise. Feelings occur precisely according to the type of contact that occurs. That is what is meant by contact causes feeling. Okay, this number 7. Now number 8. They give rise to the, say, the craving or the desire. Relishing those different kinds of feelings, taking delight in them, clinging to them, and having that clinging remain is what is meant by feeling causes craving. So that craving, and the next number 9, appropriation or the grasping. These 2 are more when we are closer towards the death. When you're closer towards the death, some indications are that. Some indications are that some people say that when they are lying in the bed, they will say, please now hold me up, pull me up, raise me. And some people say that raise me means that you are just in the bed. You are not like drowning, but they get the feeling that you are drowning. And some people say that, oh, this is a bad indication. Now this person taking birth in the hell realm. No, this is not true. So why should we have to create unnecessary fear in somebody? Already dying, there's a fear. Now I'm taking birth in the hell realm. Another fear. Why are you creating this fear? This is not true. So when you feel that you are drowning, it's because of the dissolution of the aggregates, aggregate of form, aggregate of the body, aggregate of the solid planet Earth, the aggregate of the element of the earth. So then you feel like drowning because that what holds you, that is dissolving. So you feel like drowning. It's not that you are, bad sign, bad omen of that you're going to take but the low realms. No, there's people just not knowing the real dharma. Then they create their own stories, and then they say something as well like you have the authority, and then people believe in you, and then our neighbor was crying, that they asking the family members to pull him up, and now he feels drowning. Lower realm. No, that's not true. This is all just the folly, lack of the knowledge. Okay. So the craving, and these come closer towards the time of the death. So there, you get a feeling that you are dying now. You're dying, and then you crave not to die. You crave not to be separate from near and dear ones. You crave not to be separate from your body. The craving. From relishing, remember what is meant by feeling causes craving. The next, from relishing, taking delight, clinging, and having that clinging remain comes an unwillingness to let go. Now the clinging becomes very strong. Very strong unwillingness to let go. That is the more intense version of the craving, referred to as the appropriation or grasping. I let go with the repeated wish, may I never part from these dear and delightful forms. And this is what is meant by craving cause appropriation. So it is said that when somebody is going through this last phase of life, it's advised that the family members, they should not be crying in front of the person dying. But in some cultures, if you don't cry, then it's indication that you don't love the person. This is terrible. It's total ignorance. So therefore, they even hire, the professional wailers. They hire them. So this is really wrong. This misconception. And so the point is that where you are advised not to cry, and particularly the dying person, who the people who he or she feels so close to, feeling so excessively attached to, it is said that these people, these objects should not be kept visibly in front of the dying person. Where some dying people, they are amazing. So they know they're dying, they're leaving their near and dear ones, and they love somebody so much, they love the child so much, and then you know, shake hands, and then you say the bye-bye, you know, very courageous. And then they want to meet the person. Once met, then he or she feels okay, at ease. Whereas not meeting, just craving to meet that person, then this craving builds up even stronger. So we have to see the situation. If the person really craves to see the person, let him see the person, and make sure that the person who comes to meet should not be crying or should not be expressing too much of attachment. Just touch and remind him or her. If the person is more exposed to the Dharma, remind him of her of the Dharma, like His Holiness, His own teachings, Buddha's teachings, so forth. And if the person has nothing to do with the Dharma, then say, try to recall. Let the person recall the good things the person did in his or her life. The moments this person displayed very compassionate gestures towards others, generosity, and you know, all the good things the person did, you try to remind this person of the good things that you did. This is amazing. These are so virtuous things that we don't find people doing it so easily, and you did it. Right? Let him rejoice, let him or her rejoice in one's own virtue. When the rejoice in the virtue happens, then this is a human psyche, that the other side of the mind, the bad sides, will be dominated, will not come on the surface. So that will then help the person. Then during that critical stage, the person can again accumulate karmas, positive karmas or negative karmas. If there's so much closer towards the dead, then the conflict, children, you know, they're fighting over the properties in front of the dying parents. This is a disaster. This is a disaster. If you really want to fight over the properties, at least don't fight in front of the dying person. You can do that the outside, not in front of the dying person. This is so important. And let the person die peacefully. Let the person remember the virtuous thoughts. These are so precious. Okay. The formation, such wishing, the next paragraph, such wishing gives rise to rebirth, producing actions by means of rebirth, producing actions combined together, rebirth producing actions by actions meaning karma, by means of body, spatial, mind. Means that the second link, which is karma, that is germinated by number 8 and number 9. And then this karma becomes it takes the germinated form on the verge to give rise to the next birth. So that immediate cause of the next birth in the form of the germinated form of the karma, that is the number 10, becoming. That is what is meant by and that karma, of course, karma of the karma, there are 3 kinds: karma of the body, speech, and mind. And that is what is meant by appropriation, causes becoming. The formation of the 5 aggregates born from such actions meaning number 10, which is also action, karma, germinated action. So this gives rise to the 5 aggregates of the next life, is what is meant by the becoming, causes birth of the next life with the 5 aggregates. Next, number 12. The maturation of the development of aggregates formed from birth. The birth, which is number 11, and then in the mother's womb, then the maturation happens, development happens. That is the disintegration. That is meant by birth, causes, aging, and death. And then finally, even that continuum of this 5 aggregates will terminate. That is death. Thus, this 12-fold dependent arising, which comes from several different causes and from several different conditions, is neither permanent, nor impermanent, neither compounded, nor uncompounded, is not without any cause or condition, is without an experiencer, is not something exhaustible, or something destructible, or something that ceases, has proceeded from time immemorial without interruption, like the flow of a river. Okay, so now this requires a little bit of explanation. Okay. The first, it says that thus this 12-fold dependent arising, which comes from several different causes and from several different conditions, is neither permanent. It's not permanent because it changes. Because where there's no change, then 12 links cannot happen. It's not permanent because it changes. And nor impermanent. No impermanent here is meaning that the discontinuation. For example, let's say that there's the flame, the candle, or the oil lamp. When the oil exhausts, the lamp discontinues. So impermanent here doesn't mean that it's just changing. It's to discontinue. To discontinue. Say with the first link, then immediately after the first link is the second link. That is, it is not discontinuation. It is not annihilation. So therefore, it is not impermanent in terms of discontinuation. Okay, it's neither compounded. Neither compounded meaning that it's not created. It's not created by some external agent. It's not created by some external agent. It is by dependence on the preceding causes and conditions, not by some agent deciding what you're going to do or what's going to happen to you. No uncompounded. It is not that it is okay, no creator there, so therefore it's static. No, it is not created by external agent, but it is actually the given rise to by the immediate preceding causes. For the 12 links, link number 12 is given rise to by the 11, 11 by the 10, 10 by the 9, not by the external agent. Uncompounded, nor uncompounded, in ways that it is actually, these are the things that come into existence, but depends on the earlier the factors. Is not without any cause or condition. Is not without any cause condition means is with a cause, is with a condition. Is without an experiencer. Okay, let's say that these are 12 links, and then the 12 links are experienced by another, the entity. For example, say that, okay, I'm not my body, I'm not my mind. There's a separate experiencer, a self which is a permanent entity, permanent independent entity which experiences all these 12 links. There's no such experiencer. It is just these 12, say the 5 aggregates there, and on the basis of this, there's no separate experiencer. Your mind imputes a self there. There's no separate entity as a experiencer, and it is not something it's not something exhaustible. Okay, exhaustible meaning that, for example, let's say that we talk about, let's say something, the oil exhausts, and say where is samsara. If you don't put an end to the ignorance, then it continues. The cycle continues. It's not something exhaustible, something destructible. Okay. So destructible here, the Acharya Kamalashila explains that as long as your karma, as long as that karma propels you to live for, like, say 10 years, 20 years, 100 years. It's not that there is some external agent to destroy this anytime, because as long as the karma lasts, if this karma lasts, it has the power to project you for like 100 years, then no force can destroy it. It'll continue for 100 years, indestructible. So something, okay, not something exhaustible, not something destructible. So not applied to both. Or something that ceases. Okay. So the cease. So when does say a flower, when does a flower cease? For example, say the discordant factors come to cease, to stop it. No, they say the flower is created by the seed. When the seed is disrupted, then the flower will not come into existence. So, for example, if there's a fire there, fire giving rise to by the, say, the fuel. When you stop the fuel, then the fire ceases. It's not that with some of the factors, these things will come to cease. There's no external agent to make them stop. When the conducive factors stop, then they stop. Something that ceases. It's not something that ceases through external agent. Has proceeded from time immemorial. Okay, so this reality of dependent origination is something that has been existing since time immemorial. It's not that one time dependent origination is not operating and suddenly Buddha came and said that now things should operate as dependent origination. No, it exists way before the Buddha Shakyamuni, without interruption. And of course, where the causes are there, the results bound to happen. This is how the cause effect dependent origination happens without interruption, like the flow of a river. Okay. This 12-fold dependent arising, which comes from several different causes and from several different conditions, is neither permanent. Okay, now these already explained. Neither permanent nor impermanent, is neither compounded nor uncompounded, is not without any cause or condition, is without an experiencer, and is not something exhaustible, something destructible, or something that ceases, has indeed proceeded from time immemorial without interruption, like the flow of a river. Nevertheless, there are 4 links that serve as the cause for assembling this 12-fold dependent arising. There are 4 links there, which 4, namely ignorance, craving. Within the craving, number 8 and number 10, number 8 and number 9 are together in the craving. Ignorance is one factor. Craving, which includes number 8, attachment or the desire or the craving, and number 9, grasping, also includes in the craving. Then karma, number 2 and number 10. The karma, number 2 is formation of the karma, and number 10, becoming. And consciousness, number 3. So these are the 4 very important factors to make these 12 links operate, which means that they serve as the causal factors. Okay. The consciousness first. This is again taught from a very different angle with a different analogy. Consciousness functions as a cause by having the nature of a seed. Like planting a seed, consciousness functions as a cause by having the nature of the seed. Consciousness is like the seed. Karma functions as a cause by having the nature of a field. So karma is like the field. Okay, so later what I would suggest is that, let's say these metaphors are very clearly given, and our job is, after this, try to go through this once more. Try to go through this once more, and then see in what way the example gives us a greater clarity in terms of 12 links to see that these 4 things, ignorance, craving, karma, and consciousness, these 4 things, they serve as very important factors in the form of a seed, in the form of a field, in the form of the water, and so forth. So in what way they serve as these factors? Say, the consciousness serves as a seed, the karma serves as the field, ignorance and craving functions as causes by having the nature of the afflictions. Karma and afflictions cause afflictions here, referring to the ignorance and the craving. Ignorance, craving, put them together as the afflictions, and the karma and afflictions cause the seed of the consciousness to grow. So the consciousness is the seed. Number 3 is given the metaphor of the seed, and that is made to grow by the karma, which is number 2 and number 10. Afflictions, number 8 and number 9. These these work together to make the consciousness as a seed to grow. Okay, later on, this is very important, particularly those people who already studied the Wheel of Life well. You know exactly, when I say karma, it is number 2 and number 10. When I say affliction, it is number 8 and number 9. And say also the ignorance is also there in the form of the ignorance and craving functions as a cause of having the nature of the afflictions. So we see that the afflictions in the form of the craving which has two, number 8, number 9, and then you add the number 1, ignorance, these three together as afflictions. Okay. Common afflictions cause the seed of the consciousness to grow. Here, karma functions as a field for the seed of consciousness. Karma as the field. In what way? The karma, number 2 and number 10, serves as the field. And in what way the consciousness serves as the seed. Okay, so let me put it like this. Let's say that the consciousness, finding what travels to the next life, is your consciousness. Consciousness is number 3. Consciousness is the one which carries the imprints and which travels to the next life. So therefore it is like the seed, apple seed, which is going to germinate into the big tree. So this consciousness will travel to the next life and then germinate into the 5 aggregates of the next life. So therefore it is like seed. And craving moistens the seed of consciousness. So the craving, number 8 and number 9, as a craving, moisten the seed of consciousness. Ignorance sows the seed of consciousness. Ignorance, which is one of the afflictions of the 3, this is one which sows the seed, the consciousness, which sows this consciousness. So ignorance is the one actually triggers everything, the first link. And then the consciousness, which carries the imprints and connects to the next life. So that all happens starting by the one who throws the seed. Who throws the seed? The ignorance. So ignorance sows the seed of consciousness. Without these conditions, the seed of consciousness does not develop. In this process, karma does not think, I function as the field for the seed of consciousness. Nor does craving think, I moisten the seed of the consciousness. Nor does ignorance think, I sow the seed of consciousness. Nor does the seed of consciousness think, I'm produced by these conditions. Yet when the seed of consciousness grows, planted in the field of karma, moistened by the water of craving, and strewn with the manure of the ignorance, the sprout of name and form, with the consciousness giving rise to the next birth, name and form, the sprout of name and form manifests within whichever mother's womb one will take rebirth through. And this sprout of name and form is not created by itself. Okay, now look, this sprout of name and form. So when you are conceived in the mother's womb next life, you are not created by some external agent. It all came from the consciousness of the past life. And this consciousness was germinated by the 2 cravings, number 8 and number 9. And that consciousness was initially, say, planted in the field of the karma. And this seed was actually planted in that karma by the ignorance. So this is how it works. There's no external agent which makes you to take birth in a particular mother's womb. And as this sprout of name and form is not created by itself, not created by another agent, but by any other agent which different traditions believe in the creator, not created by Ishvara, not transformed by time. So here the time means the time as a creator. I said this in the morning session, that the early session, that some traditions, they believe that the time is the creator. Again, I personally would say that the person who said that the particles are the creator of the universe. And some say that time is the creator of the universe. This is amazing. I would say that they are great thinkers. Because we see that even with the Big Bang, which the physicists would believe as the beginning of the universe, Big Bang, so what initially existed was the singularity, what they call a singularity. This singularity exploded. From the explosion, then the time, space came out. And then from there, the whole evolution started. So therefore, this tradition who believes that the time is the creator of the whole universe, time is the agent. Whereas the Buddha is saying that no, it is not the time as the creator which decided that you should take birth in the mother's womb. No, it's because of your own karma. It's because of our own consciousness of the previous life, which is decided by the kind of the field of the karma that you've accumulated, and this consciousness initially soon by planted by the ignorance and motioned by the two cravings. So these are the factors which make you to take birth in the particular form, not by any other external agents. Okay. Not transformed by time, not derived from prakriti. Prakriti is the agent accepted by the Samkhya, one particular tradition known as Samkhya, not dependent on a single factor. So these are not created by one single factor. There are multiple factors involved. Not born without any cause. It's not a cause, it's random production as accepted by the Charvakas. Nonetheless, from the combination of the union of the parents, the period of the evolution, and other conditions, the seed of the consciousness coming from the past life, filled with the appetite, produces the sprout of the name and form within the mother's womb, within whichever mother's womb one would take rebirth through. For although things are not the owner, devoid of ownership, okay, same. So now you are considered in mother's womb. So it is not like okay, you have the body and the mind, and there's something which owns this body and the mind as a separate entity. No. For example, let's say that okay, I have this rosary, and I have this non-rosary, rosary and non-rosary, these two. This is owned by me, and I'm different from these two. I leave these two on the table. I leave. I go. So there are two things that I owned, and the owner. These two are two different entities. Body and the mind as to be possessed, and the owner as a distinct entity. Such a thing does not exist. Okay, are not the owner, devoid of ownership. Okay, devoid of ownership, meaning that okay, say they may not be some sort of entity there's owner, but then there's some other agents. They own you, and then they manipulate what you should be doing. There's no such ownership also. Ungraspable to say that. Earlier we said that okay, this Dorji there, there's a flower there, there's a thermos there, or there's my very dear mother there. What is that mother? It's just a bunch of atoms. Which of the atoms is the mother? No. But you see something as a mother there. Where is this coming from? From the object you cannot grasp to see that this is the mother, this is a person. No. Space-like, and the nature is the mark of the illusion. So it's coming from your mind, projected by mind, depend on these factors. So therefore it is like illusion. There is no deficiency of requisite causes conditions. So without, let's say, where the causes conditions are gathered, then the illusion like the person appears, comes into existence in the mother's womb. For instance, I consciousness arises by way of the 5 principles. This is so beautiful. Now going into more detail about dependent origination. Say, for example, your I consciousness. This arises by way of 5 principles. Which 5? Namely, the I consciousness based on the I on which it depends. I sense power. I here is the I sense power. It depends. Then it also requires the external form, the visual object. Number 2 is the visual object, the form. Then number 3, you also need a light to see the object. You need a space. If the object is attached to your eyes, you will not see the object. You also need a space. And then the appropriate attention. Then they say, for example, your mind is distracted somewhere else, and your eye consciousness is just cast on the flower. What do you see? No, I didn't see anything. Actually, the flower is right there. Your attention is not there. So you require the attention also there. So this is so scientific. It's just amazing. So with these 5 things happen, they coming together, then I consciousness seeing the flower can come into existence. Okay. Here, I function as the basis. Now, what are the functions of each of these objects? I, the form, as the stimulus, as the object, the visual object, the light, space, appropriate attention. What are these functions in order to give rise to the I consciousness in the flower? Here, the I functions as the basis for the I consciousness. So let's say that if I want to smell this, what is the smell of this flower, right? And I bring it closer to the eyes. Do you think that you can smell it? Closer to the eye? No. Or you want to see the color of this flower and you bring it closer to your ears? No, you cannot figure out the color. So to appreciate the flower, the color and the color, you need your eye sense power. Eye sense power is exclusively to pick up the quality of the color and the shape of the flower, while the flower has a texture. So you look at the eyes cannot just the texture of the flower. Sometimes even by looking at the objects with the eyes, you go, oh, this is smooth, this is rough, but actually it can be very deceptive. What is seen as smooth, for example, the tongue of the let's say the cats. It looks so smooth. When you touch it, it is like a razor. It's very dangerous. When you touch it, it's like a razor. It's so rough. It's not smooth. And the tongue of the, for example, tiger and the lions, they can actually, or the bears, they just lick you. It can reach you, rip your skin. They look so tender, but they're like razor. You're getting it? Your eyes can be very deceptive with respect to the texture. For the texture, it should be your body touch. So therefore, these five senses, they have different functions, and they we take this for granted. We take this for granted. For example, during the COVID time, they contracted COVID, particularly during the COVID Delta version, then you lost your taste and smell, right? And even though you crave, you are a foodie person. Even though you are a foodie person, no choice. You can't do any. You cannot help. Anything you eat, you don't taste anything. One time, one of our staff really went through a terribly bad COVID, and they hospitalized in the ICU. Very scary, thinking that the person was going to leave us. And we did everything. Finally, he came out of the hospital. And I said that you don't go to your room. Come to Tibet House. We stay here in Tibet House. Food, everything will be served. And then we try to give the best of the food to just that it should be palatable, that he likes to eat it, and that he can heal so fast. And then we are trying to make the food as delicious. We forgot that he had the severe COVID problem. It was because of COVID problem. Then he said that I don't taste anything, right? Whatever food you give, there's no difference. For me, there's no difference. I don't taste anything. Okay, so the taste is only the tongue, not the eyes. Eyes do not taste the food. We take for granted. Only when you go through these things, then you'll realize how precious these senses are. Okay, okay, here the I functions as the basis for the I consciousness, meaning that I consciousness is to have the visual object, the visual perception. For the visual perception, the medium required is the eye sense power, not the nose sense power, not the ear sense power. A form functions as the object of perception because it requires the shape or a color. The smell will not serve as the object for the eye consciousness to operate. Form functions as the object of perception for the eye consciousness. Light functions as the visibility. The space functions by not obstructing. Appropriate attention functions as mental reflection. If any of these factors are missing, then eye consciousness seeing the object cannot take place. Without these conditions, eye consciousness cannot arise. But when the inner sense source, which is the eye, is not deficient, and likewise when form, light, space, appropriate attention are not deficient, then from the coming together of all these factors, eye consciousness will invariably arise. It's just dependent origination. There's no agent which gives I consciousness. When these factors come into being, I consciousness will come into being, come into existence. No matter what, nobody can stop you from having the I consciousness. This is pure dependent origination. This is amazing. The I doesn't think. I serve as the basis of I consciousness. Nor does form think. I serve as the object of perceptions for the I consciousness. Nor does light think. I function as a visibility for the I consciousness. Nor does space think. I do not obstruct the I consciousness. Nor does appropriate attention think. I provide mental reflection for the I consciousness. Nor does I consciousness think. I'm produced by these conditions. Yet the I consciousness is born or come into existence from the presence of these conditions. Similarly, a corresponding analysis should be applied to the rest of the faculties, such as the nose consciousness, ear consciousness, tongue consciousness, the body consciousness. Okay, we'll stop here for today. And the questions we'll do today. Tomorrow we have 2 sessions. We'll do the questions tomorrow.
Thank you very much, Geshe. And now I would like to request Hansla to kindly do the end dedication prayer, please. Thank you, Hansla. I'll do screen sharing.
Additional dedication prayers. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All-powerful Shinrezi Tenzin Gyatso, please remain until samsara ends. Just as the brave Manjushri and Samantabhadra to realize things as they are. Also, I dedicate all these merits in the best way, that I may follow their perfect example. I dedicate all these roots of virtues with the dedication praised as the best by all the Buddhas who appeared in the 3 times, so that I might perform the noble Bodhisattva deeds. Chanchu, Semcho, Rinpoche, Makye Panam Kye Gunchi, Yepang Nampa Me Pang, Gong Ne Gong Du Fel Ba Sho. May the Supreme Bodhicitta that has not arisen arise and grow, and may that which has arisen not diminish, but increase forevermore. As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. I dedicate the merits thus gathered towards the realization of the deeds and the prayers of all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 3 times, and to the upholding of the Dharma of teaching and realizations. May I in all lives, through the force of this merit, never separate from the 4 wheels of the Mahayana vehicle, and accomplish all the stages of the path, renunciation, bodhicitta, perfect view, and the 2 stages. May sentient beings again and again make offerings to all the Buddhas, and may they constantly be joyful with the inconceivable bliss of the Buddhas. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Due to the merits of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain the state of Guru Buddha and lead all beings without exceptions into that enlightened state.
Deyatha Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasamgati Bodhi Swaha Deyatha Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasamgati Bodhi Swaha Deyatha Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasangate Bodhisva